retired black female general driving her luxury car gets pulled over by a police officer who refuses to believe the vehicle is hers. A confrontation about race, gender, military honor, and abuse of power is about to unfold. The clock on Officer Travis Brenner's cruiser read 6:42 p.m. Light was fading over the trees lining Saluda Avenue in Columbia, South Carolina. The houses here had wide porches and brick mailboxes. Quiet money, old money. He was 2 hours from the end of his shift, sipping flat coffee from a dented thermos, when he noticed a sleek black Mercedes crawl to a stop at a stop sign. Too slow. It rolled forward, not enough to ticket, but just enough to bother him. He flicked his lights on, fingers already reaching for the radio. Dispatch, this is Unit 24. I'm initiating a traffic stop on a black Mercedes S-Class. No plates visible from my angle. Occupied once. The car eased the curb under a dogwood tree. No sudden moves, no panic. The driver rolled down the window before he even got to the door. "Evening, officer," said the voice inside, clear, firm, unshaken. Travis stopped short. The woman behind the wheel wasn't what he expected. She was black, mid-60s maybe, with short silver hair, straight posture, and a calm stare. Her hands rested on the steering wheel, fingers steady, wedding band gleaming. A small pin on her lapel caught the fading light. "I'm General Eleanor Washington, United States Army retired," she said, offering a slight nod. "This is my vehicle. I'm heading home from a veterans meeting." He blinked, noticing now the military veteran license plate. "License and registration, please." She didn't hesitate, passing them over like she'd done it 1,000 times. "Any reason you pulled me over, officer?" Travis scanned the documents, drawer locked. A shadow box visible on the passenger seat held rows of military ribbons. They checked out, but something about it didn't sit right with him. "Yeah," he said slowly, eyes narrowing. "This car fits the description of a stolen vehicle reported earlier today." Eleanor raised a brow. "It's registered to me. You can confirm with dispatch." "I will." He walked back to his cruiser, radioed in, but as he waited, his eyes didn't leave her through the windshield. She didn't fidget, didn't touch her phone, just sat still, watching the sky grow darker. Dispatch came back. No stolen report linked to that VIN. Registration matches the name on the license. Everything checks out. Still, Travis didn't return her papers. He stepped back to her window. "Mind stepping out of the vehicle for me, ma'am?" Eleanor's voice sharpened. "Is that a lawful order?" His hand dropped toward his holster. "Yes." There was a long pause. Her eyes didn't move from his face. "Are you detaining me?" "I'm asking you to step out. We'll clear things up." A small group had started to gather. One teenager lifted a phone, the red light blinking. Eleanor spoke louder this time, enough for those watching. "I'm General Eleanor Washington, United States Army, retired. I served this country for 35 years. This is my vehicle. You received confirmation. It is not stolen. You are now unlawfully detaining me." Travis flinched, not visibly, but his stance shifted. He knew the law, knew the camera was on, knew the crowd was growing, but something in him, the part too proud to back down, held him in place. The second time she said it, her voice hit differently. "You're violating my rights." Someone across the street called out, "That's General Washington. She was on CNN last month talking about military strategy." But Travis didn't move. His voice was tight. "I asked you to step out." "And I asked," she said, "if this is legal." Silence. Then a voice in the crowd, low but clear, "Get your hands off your weapon, officer." He hadn't realized his fingers hovered near his holster. Tense. He pulled them back. More phones went up. A woman muttered, "She commanded troops in Afghanistan. She's got a Bronze Star. You messing up, bro?" Travis stepped back, unsure now. The cameras, the voices, the uniform, it all felt heavier than before. Eleanor rolled up her window 2 inches, not slamming it, just enough. She turned her head forward. He walked back to his cruiser, heart pounding. But the story wasn't ending there. It was just beginning to crack open. He sat in the cruiser, windows halfway down, fingers tapping the steering wheel. The dispatch confirmation still echoed in his head. Everything checks out. But Travis Brenner wasn't ready to pull off. He got out again, more deliberate this time, shutting the door behind him like punctuation, walked slowly back toward the car. The crowd hadn't moved. If anything, it had grown by 2 or 3 more people, murmuring among themselves, phones up. Eleanor didn't roll down the window further. She waited, her face steady, her jaw set the way someone looks when they've been here before. He tapped on the glass, just once. She lowered it 2 inches more. "Ma'am," he said, voice flatter now, "I need to ask you a few more questions." "You've already verified my license, my registration, and who I am," she replied. "What else do you need, Officer Brenner?" The sound of her saying his name calmly, like a command in a war room, dug under his skin. "How long have you had this vehicle?" "Since February of last year. Bought it certified pre-owned from Midland's Mercedes." He nodded slowly, pretending to make mental notes. "Paid in full?" Her eyes narrowed. "Are you asking how I paid for my car?" "I'm asking because you think I stole it," she finished for him, even after it was confirmed I didn't. Travis opened his mouth, then closed it. She kept going. "Do you ask every driver in this neighborhood how they can afford their car?" "Ma'am, don't twist my words." "I don't have to. They twist themselves." There was the verbal shift. She was no longer explaining. She was challenging. And yet, she never raised her voice. Someone behind them muttered, "He better back off." Travis heard it, pretended not to, but it added weight. So did the red light on the phone across the street, still blinking. Eleanor looked out the window, then back at him. "Do you know how many hours I've spent in the Pentagon, officer? How many troops I commanded? How many missions I've overseen that kept this country safe? You think after all that, I clock out and decide to boost a Mercedes off Divine Street?" He felt small. Still, he asked, "Is this your only vehicle?" Eleanor leaned her head against the window frame. "That's the 4th time you've implied I shouldn't be driving this car." "It's not personal," he lied. "Sure it is," she said quietly. "You don't see me, not really. You see a possibility you've already decided is true. You don't get to carry a badge and walk around with that kind of certainty," she continued. "Not when it's wrong. Not when it puts lives at risk." Then another car pulled up behind the crowd. A second patrol unit. Officer Marcy Keller stepped out. Late 30s, sharp eyes, blonde ponytail. She walked over, glanced around, read the room fast. "Travis," she said quietly, "what's going on?" "Routine stop," he said, voice dry. "Possible stolen vehicle." Marcy peered into the car. Her brows lifted. "That's General Washington." "I know." Marcy exhaled. "You need to clear this." "I'm trying." "No," she said gently but firmly. "You're not." But even as help arrived, the moment was already past saving, and the damage had begun to spread. By the time Officer Marcy Keller walked back to her cruiser, it was obvious things weren't settling down. What had started as one patrol car on a quiet street had turned into something else entirely. Neighbors on porches, kids whispering into phones, bystanders recording from parked cars. Eleanor Washington sat with her hands still resting on the wheel. The shadow box with her medals visible on the passenger seat looked almost out of place now. It clashed with the rising chaos outside. She glanced up into the rear-view mirror, not in fear, more like someone monitoring a battlefield before issuing a final command. Travis stood off to the side now, arms crossed, chewing his bottom lip. He kept watching the crowd. He wasn't sure anymore what he was trying to prove, but he wasn't backing down. From across the street, a voice called out, "That's General Washington." She broke the glass ceiling for black women in the military. A boy, maybe 16, phone in hand, nodded toward her window. "You all right in there, ma'am?" Eleanor didn't answer right away. She gave a small nod, silent but clear enough for anyone paying attention. It wasn't a thank you. It was a statement. "I'm handling it." Then, from her side window, she spoke directly to Travis. You've made yourself clear. I'd like to leave now. He didn't say anything. She repeated, Officer Brenner, I am requesting to leave unless you are formally detaining me. By sunrise, it was everywhere. The clip from the live stream, barely 4 minutes long, had racked up over 300,000 views overnight. General Eleanor Washington's name trended on social media alongside words like racial profiling, abuse of authority, and body cam silence. Local outlets picked it up first, the state, WLTX. Then the national ones came knocking. Inside the Columbia Police Department, the mood was grim. The morning briefing room, usually filled with small talk and burnt coffee, was dead quiet. The chief, Harold Epps, didn't smile, didn't greet. He walked in, slid a printed headline across the table, and said, "This is what we're up against today." It read, South Carolina police officer targets decorated black female general in traffic stop. Was her service to country not enough? Travis Brenner sat in the corner, trying not to shift in his seat. Everyone knew. Nobody said it, but eyes lingered longer than they should have. And not just at him. At Marcy, too. The one who intervened. The one who didn't back him up. Epps looked at Travis. "You filed your incident report?" "Yes, sir." "I read it. Doesn't match what's on camera." Travis didn't respond. "We're initiating an internal review. You're on administrative leave effective immediately." Silence. Then a small voice. "With pay?" Epps nodded. Standard protocol. But don't mistake that for support. Across town, General Washington sat in her kitchen, trade military uniform for a simple t-shirt and sweats, sipping black coffee that had long gone cold. Her phone buzzed constantly. Friends, veteran groups, reporters, colleagues. She answered none of them. Instead, she scrolled through the video, watched her face from the outside, watched the crowd, the shift in the officer's posture, the moment his fingers brushed his holster. It didn't surprise her, but it still cut deep. Not because it happened, but because she'd always known it could. The hearing was held in a modest municipal building on Hardin Street, not far from where it all started. No marble columns, no press wall, just a small room with stiff-backed chairs, water pitchers, and cameras packed shoulder to shoulder. General Washington sat at the table in her usual posture, straight, controlled, hands folded, not as a general today, but as a witness. She wore a navy blazer with a small American flag pin on the lapel. No medals, no decorations, but her military bearing was unmistakable. Travis Brenner walked in through a side door, not in uniform. Navy jacket, khakis, shoulders tight. No one clapped, no one sneered. Just silence, the kind that demands more than noise ever could. The Oversight Committee, a 5-member panel, sat at the head. Their role was clear. Review body cam footage, assess officer conduct, and determine whether disciplinary action was warranted. On paper, it was procedural, but everybody knew this wasn't just about Travis. It was about something bigger, older, and harder to untangle. The footage played silently on a monitor. There was no narration, no commentary, just a moment. The stop, the tone in his voice, the way she explained and explained again, the hand near the holster. At minute 11:17, the screen flickered, a 40-second gap, silence. Committee Chair Vera Lindell, a retired judge from Charleston, paused the playback. "Officer Brenner," she said, adjusting her glasses, "can you explain why your body cam audio dropped during that section?" Travis cleared his throat. "I don't know. Might have been a malfunction. Are you aware that your department logs show your hand brushed the mute toggle at that exact time?" He didn't answer right away. "Yes," he finally said. Vera leaned forward. "So the footage goes quiet the moment things escalated. That's either extremely convenient or extremely concerning." Travis glanced down. Eleanor sat without expression, not smug, not angry, just watching. Later, she was invited to speak. Her voice didn't waver. "For 35 years," she said, "I wore the uniform of this country. I've led men and women into combat. I've made life and death decisions. And somehow, none of that protected me from being treated like a criminal in my own neighborhood." Outside the police station, a protest formed, not massive, maybe 100 people. Signs read, "Power doesn't equal permission," and who protects us from them? Someone had printed stills from the body cam footage, posted them on wooden sticks like billboards. One photo had become iconic already. Eleanor standing tall outside her Mercedes, hand on the door, eyes locked on Brenner like a verdict. Inside the building, Travis sat alone at his desk, packing up his things into a cardboard box. He'd heard the chants outside, heard his name shouted a few times. He wasn't angry, not like before. He was mostly confused. He'd followed instinct, what he thought was right, what had felt suspicious. Now it just felt wrong. He looked at the photo on his desk. His wife and daughter from last summer, smiling, toes in the sand at Myrtle Beach. He wondered how he'd explain any of this to his kid. Just then, Marcy tapped lightly on the doorframe. "You okay?" He shrugged. She leaned against the wall. "I didn't want to go like that, but you didn't give me a choice." "I know. You ever think," she said, folding her arms, "maybe what feels normal to you is what needs fixing?" He looked up at her, tired. "Yeah, I'm starting to." But introspection doesn't erase impact, and the city wasn't waiting for him to catch up. Before Eleanor Washington wore stars on her shoulders, before the Pentagon office and sharp military commands, she was just Ellie Parker from Aiken County, South Carolina. Her mother taught second grade for 31 years. Her father, Thomas Parker, wore a patrolman's badge that barely paid the bills. He stood over 6 feet, spoke softly, and came home quiet. Eleanor remembered one night in 1982 like it was yesterday. She was 17, headed to ROTC practice. 2 weeks after the hearing, Eleanor Washington stood before a group of young cadets at Fort Jackson. Most were in their 20s, a mix of races and backgrounds, all watching her with quiet reverence. She wasn't there to talk about the incident. She'd been invited months before to discuss leadership. But after her presentation, a young black female lieutenant raised her hand. "Ma'am, we all saw what happened to you on that video. How do you reconcile serving a country that still treats you that way sometimes?" Eleanor didn't answer immediately. The room held its breath. "When I joined the Army in 1982, she finally said, my father told me America doesn't always live up to its promise, but that doesn't make the promise less worth fighting for. The uniform doesn't shield you from prejudice. Sometimes it even makes you a bigger target, but it does give you the strength to face it with dignity." She straightened her shoulders slightly. "The officer who stopped me saw what he expected to see, not who I am. Your job isn't just to serve. It's to be so excellent they can't ignore you, and then use that excellence to hold open doors for those behind you." Across town, Officer Travis Brenner sat in a classroom, notepad open to a page titled Bias Recognition Training. The instructor had just played the Washington video. "What do you see now that you didn't see then?" the instructor asked. Travis looked down at his paper. He'd written one word: person. Sometimes the hardest battles aren't fought with weapons, but with perception. If this story made you think about how we see each other, comment respect below and share your own experience of being truly seen.